got our honored guest, Mr. Eric Upchurch. Eric is a Army veteran and a co-founder of Active Duty Passive Income. One of the big reasons we're here today. So thank you for that, Eric. Um, he's the chair for nonprofit for Veterans Community Project. He's also had the opportunity to talk to some great role models, especially for us real estate investors, like Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, as many of us know, the Purple Bible, Grant Cardone, 10X Rule, Jocko Willink, and Al Elrod, some very awesome people, especially in the investing in real estate community or mindset. He focuses on multiple areas of or asset class for real estate investing, such as multifamily, storage, and student housing. Without further ado, Eric, I'll turn it over to you. And I'll stop sharing my screen so you can share yours as well.
Perfect. What's going on, ADPI Nation? How you doing? It's good to see some familiar faces here. And for those of you I don't know, I'd love to get to know you. Thanks for spending time doing this and just being a part of the community. That's why we're here, to make everybody feel comfortable growing together. And we're excited as an organization to make sure you guys have the resources you need while you're CONUS or OCONUS or wherever the heck you are, what you're doing, having resources and just good people around to make sure you can take next steps in life, whatever that may be. So glad to hear that you're all here, and I hope to add some value. I'm sure there'll be some takeaways, and I'm glad this is recorded so you can, get access to it and maybe rewind and what was that thing he said real quick or whatever. But I think we will have a Q&A, and that will be fun also. And I'll say, please take advantage of everything this team has put together for you outside of, being in the lower 48. This is a really important thing for the ADPI leadership to be able to provide information globally to all of you. So please fill out that survey, help this team out, help them be better, provide more, and give you the resources you need, because there's nothing that should be limiting you from doing what you want to do. Okay. That all said, man, I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to give you some of this info on what I've learned. And let me see if I can get that going. Everybody see that okay? All right.
Yes.
Dan gives me a thumbs up. Good to go. All right, I'm gonna go from there. So yeah, I've kind of put together over the years some tips and tricks, and it's just really stuff that I wish somebody told me, and things that I've been very aware of as I've developed into the real estate investor that I am. And I want to encourage everybody on here that you don't have to be the best at everything. The reason we're on calls like this is because you surround yourself by like-minded people who can strengthen your weaknesses. I am a firm believer that you do not have to be the smartest person in the room. In fact, I'm constantly putting myself in a position where I'm the dumbest guy in the room. I think that's where I should be at all times, because that's how you level up. And you have two arms for a reason. We've all heard that. I want anything that I get as I'm being brought up, I want to help people bring them up. And I think that's probably why I'm part of the ADPI team as well, because I'm passionate about, whether it was the 27 soldiers that I got to serve as their leader, or the community. I want you to have more information. I want you to be at whatever level of real estate investing you want to be at, and we're going to persevere until you get there. So but this is going to be kind of cool to show you some things that you can implement on a daily basis. Some of them are going to be, some you're going to go, aha, I do that. And then, and you didn't realize that you're already doing that. And so part of this will just be awareness in general. So we're going to talk about why it's important. We're going to kind of define networking a little bit. I'm going to give you some tips on how to build a team. That's really one of the best benefits of networking, is that you can surround yourself by amazing teammates. And no one knows that better than us in the military. on the importance of finding your place on a team. But I'm going to give you some tips there, and I'll elaborate quite a bit on tips and tricks. There's a good slide on some of those things. A lot of what I've gathered is from personal experience, but also reading and, just getting educated on some stuff. You guys ever heard of Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference? Great book. I think I did audiobook first time, and then I was like, I got to actually read this thing because there's so much to digest. But there are things just psychologically that we do in networking that are purposeful, and some are conscious and some are unconscious. And so this will help you kind of, strategize a little bit in order to make the biggest impact. And I'll give you my success formula. All right. So first, what is networking? It's connecting with people with an intention to influence. You really go into a conversation or a phone call or, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. You really want to connect on a deeper level with the person that you're trying to influence. And that's really what networking is. It's a two-way street, but you can direct it. You can interact with that person with intention and with a purpose, for a purpose, in order to provide value to them. I'm going to show you some tangible ways that you'll do this, but I want you to think of networking, because we say networking so much. It's kind of like overplayed almost. But if you really get into it, you're just trying to influence somebody. And I don't mean influence in like the social media way, influencers or whatever. I just mean like you're trying to either help them or get help from them and just be in their circle and them be in your circle. So networking is really just intentional influence. Okay. And you'll be really great at this when you start putting some of these things into practice. So one of the things that I've underlined here that I think is critical is that you go into a conversation. I'll just use kind of conversation. There's a bunch of different ways to network, which I'll talk about, but conversation is the easy one to kind of hit the high points. You want to go into a conversation with genuine interest. If you're not interested in talking to the person, don't go network with them. Okay. It's clear. Our bodies, our minds, our physiology can tell when somebody's not into it. When you're talking to somebody and they're kind of like looking through your head and you're like, okay, like I'm right here. Pay attention to me for a second. I mean, we're all guilty of that at some point. I'm definitely guilty of that too. But the point here is you want to try your best to go into a conversation and engage with genuine interest. You want to add value. And the only way you're going to be able to add value in a conversation when you're networking is to really pay attention and show genuine interest. And it's actually really easy to do when you think about it, when you pre-plan. Go figure, right? In the military, we pre-plan everything, right? If you pre-plan a game plan when you're at a networking event like this, or a networking event like ADPICon or the summit or wherever you're going to network, you just think about it. Like, I'm going to be really intentional about talking to Ann. I'm really going to be really intentional about talking to Julie. And I'm going to pay attention. I'm not going to think about my phone. I'm not going to think about somebody walking by. I'm going to be really intentional. Okay. And what you get out of that is you share ideas. Connections are huge. We're such a species that requires interconnectedness. You'll find that you solve problems together when you work together. That's probably as obvious as it gets. Personal branding opportunities, I'll talk about that a little bit later, but you really want to portray consistently who you are as a person, and that will come off if you're consistent enough with your networking as well. All right, another thing is growing your influence. Your sphere of influence is really important. As you brand yourself, and I don't mean branding like, here's my logo, it's ADPI, it has the things on it, the chevrons on it or whatever. I mean, Eric Upchurch, a military real estate investor. And I tell everybody that that's who I am. And I raise money to build homes for homeless veterans. And last year we built 64 homes that's going to house thousands of veterans for decades to come. Like, that's who I am. And that's who I tell people that I am. And Some people, it's going to resonate with them, and some people it's not, and that's totally okay. But my goal is to get connected in a deeper and more meaningful way that matters to them also. So it is, you can see it's kind of, sometimes it's hit or miss. I talk about constructive interference here in a minute, but you can't always influence everyone. My mentor, Rod Cleef, has said for years that the person who comes into a conversation with the most confidence is usually the one that influences the other. But I want you to think of it as a mutual conversation where you're trying to pull out their confidence, or you're trying to pull out, like, that'll make sense in a minute, but pull out of them what they know, and then you will become really important to them. Okay, so you can expand your sphere of influence when you find the right people and you have the right conversations that are meaningful. Again, I'm going to give you tangible examples. Cliche time, your network is your net worth. Man, is this true? Like, I don't know how my net worth has gone up the hundreds of times, like 100x or whatever, since I started investing in real estate. And it's just to me, it's a matter of who I've spent my time with. I've been so intentional about making sure that I take one bold action and go talk to somebody I think will never talk to me. I circle around and try and figure out how I can get to that person. Like you say, when we interviewed Robert Kiyosaki, when we interviewed Grant Cardone, I called into Grant Cardone's show and knew I had to throw him off. This was like a tried and true. I was like, man, this networking thing works. I knew I had to throw off Grant Cardone, because if you know him, he's like a blah, blah, blah whiteboard, they look at these numbers and this number and blah, blah, blah. So when I called into a show, I was like, Eric, I'm sitting in my truck, I'll never forget it, in a parking lot. And I was like, I'm going to have to make him remember who I am or what I'm doing, like something. And so I said, hey, Grant, I know Elena, your wife. Elena, her dad was in World War II vet. I want to talk about ending veteran homelessness and suicide. And the word suicide stuck out to him, and then all of a sudden you could tell he just changed. So that was impactful networking at the time, because it made him think like differently about who I was as a person. Okay. Okay, but you're a product of your surroundings also. This is a really important thing to remember. If you're hanging out with your high school buddies for the rest of your life, and none of them are, and that's nothing wrong with hanging out with your high school buddies, and you're trying to grow and they're not, what do you think is going to happen? You're a product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You've heard that before also, I'm sure. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes you have to leave people behind. I don't mean you don't have to, you stop liking or loving the people who aren't in growth mode like you are. I just mean you need to intentionally choose to spend your time with people who are going to help you come up and achieve the things that you want to achieve. So you are a product of your surroundings as well. And that's why networking is so important. Additionally, effective and intentional networking separates you from the masses. Most people aren't thinking of it as an intentional effort. You just go and you talk to people, and you kind of just hit or miss, and sometimes you get some good information. But man, I'm telling you what, you start doing this with a purpose, and you will start to yield way bigger results, because no one else in the room is thinking about networking like this. Not no one, but everyone on this call certainly will. So if you're all in the same room together, you're gonna pick up on some of the stuff I'm about to to lay out here for you. But most importantly, tell me who here, like raise your hand or something, who is looking for a team, or who understands that you can go faster, farther with a great team. That is what the importance of networking is. So you're going to do these things that we're talking about here. You're going to influence others. You're going to seek out what problems they have, and you're going to help them solve them. And then you're starting to build a team. You're starting to build rapport, and you're starting to get trust and confidence in that team. And then those friendships that you made, you're like, you know what? I like you. We should probably go do a deal, Dan. Let's go do something, And then you start to, and those of us in multifamily, that is the most true thing. I mean, you have to have teammates. You literally are not going to close a 200 unit apartment complex by yourself. You've got to have, you know, the Timothy Crams of the world to help you across the finish line. So, I don't know why I called you Timothy, Tim, but you know, whatever I did. So, anyway, so I'll tell you what, this is just a note at the bottom here, the true impact of networking at my first fix and flip conference that I went to. So I was out of the military. I went to this hook, line, and sinker. I'm sure some of you have had this before where you hear something on an ad. I think I was listening to like my local radio before I had, you know, XM or whatever, Sirius. And it was like free 90-minute seminar on how to flip houses in San Jose, California. I was like, well, it's free. I mean, I live right there. Like, let me just pop in. So I did. And then it was like hey, for $1,000, you'll get a free tax lien, you know, booklet or whatever it was. And you'll get tickets to next week's boot camp, fix and flip boot camp. And this was the whole hook, line, and sinker thing. All the HGTV programs were doing it and stuff. So long story short, I ended up paying 25 grand for coaching. And I was in a room just like this picture you see here on the screen, except I mean, this was from a conference much later on, but most of the people in the room were wearing nice suits. And like, I was like wearing a sweatshirt, kind of like I'm in this picture. Actually, I don't change much, but the people, so I learned at that conference after buying coaching for $25,000 that I couldn't, first of all, I couldn't flip houses in the San Francisco Bay Area with no experience, no money, and all that stuff that they were saying, oh yeah, anybody can do it. Okay, well, maybe, maybe not. But what I realized was a scenario played out. I made one bold decision to go sit next to an older bald gentleman wearing a sport coat. I was like, well, he looks, I don't know, like wealthy or important, or I don't know, maybe he's definitely got more experience than me. He probably knows something that I don't know. So I'm just going to go sit at his round table today. Went and sat at his round table. And we got talking. And I was living flipping in the Bay Area using my VA loan and waiting for the market to creep up and selling and renovating and whatever, just with my family, because it was a comfortable thing to do and we could, you know, potentially at least make some money. And this guy, turns out we became friends. He was a general contractor and he was at this fix and flip thing just to see what was new in the market and, you know, in the industry in general, and kind of knew at his age that it's important to reinvent yourself or just to keep educated, keep sharp. So he and I started talking, and he ended up renovating my house that I bought on my second live and flip on in a little town on the coast in California. I paid, used my VA loan. I paid $900,000 for that house. We lived in it, and he renovated it and charged me nothing, just because we were friends now. And we sold that house 9 months later for $1.158 million for a $250,000 profit. And so was my 25 grand worth it? Yes, because I was intentional about networking, looking around the room and going, that's my teammate. That's somebody I need to get to know. Those are valuable conversations. Those are valuable moments that you can have with people, no matter where you are. So go find them. All right, so look about all the different types of networking, not all of them, but several of them. There's remote, virtual. What are we doing right now? This is one example of remote or virtual networking. In fact, we already did, and we're going to have some more networking after this. But another kind of form is maybe cold calling. I cold called when I started multifamily investing. I was cold calling about 100 brokers or owners, 100 phone calls per week for about a year, and just trying to find deals. And so that's one way of potentially influencing somebody on the other end of the phone. And I've got tons of information about that too. You really, this applies to a phone call where you can't see the other person on the other end of the line, the things that I'm going to tell you today. this does apply. So if I don't remember, remind me, but cold calling somebody you've never met, never talked to before, these principles that I'm going to teach you in a minute apply even then. Social media platforms, certainly, I mean, ADPI, right? That is a group where you can go and network your butt off. Emails, direct mail, these are all kind of remote or virtual networking opportunities. Sometimes I talk about introverts and in presentations that I do. If you're an introvert, raise your hand or say something, say, yeah, it's me. I know you're out there. We need introverts in real estate investing. I am not a typical introvert. I am an INTJ, so technically I'm kind of introverted, but when I'm talking about something that I like in a crowd that I know, I'm extroverted. But anyway, introverts, this is a great way for you to get started. You don't have to be the loudest person to be an effective networker. So if you're an introvert, if you're highly analytical, that is an advantage. You just have to, but you do have to also, like, introverts are the hardest to get into this industry, but some of the most valuable people to be in it. So please consider that if you're sitting there going like, yeah, that's me. I'm super analytical. Analysis paralysis kills me, but I can run spreadsheets and I love to put together things and concepts and whatever. We need you in the industry, okay? So figure out a way to interject yourself into the market, and these are some of the ways you can do that. Whether your camera's on or not, if you're here, you're listening, I'll urge you to have your camera on if you can, so that people can see you. They need to see your smile. They need to see, how you interact. They need to see that stuff. So introverts, that's one bold move you can do right now, is to turn your camera on. All right. Okay. One-on-one, this is great if you're going to coffee with somebody, if you invite them to lunch or dinner, if it's a broker or an owner or something like that. I'm not kidding you. I'm the guy who will start up a conversation about real estate investing with anybody at a gas pump who looks at me. I'll be like, hey, what's going on? What do you do for work? If you talk to somebody like that, and typically what they're going to do, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but they will usually reciprocate and say, what do you do? Oh, I provide great returns to, I buy multifamily. You don't even have to have like much of a sales pitch. You can say, I buy multifamily. If you know anybody interested, let me know. I'd love to talk to them. That's like a soft sell. If you know anybody, I love that one because it's like, it's non-intrusive. It's not like not like you're trying to sell them anything or anything like that. So your elevator pitch, speaking of elevators, doesn't have to be super salesy. It can just be very casual in conversation. But everybody around you should know what the heck you do. You're missing out. If your neighbors don't know that you're a real estate investor, if somebody out walking their dog every time you see them pass by, they don't know, stop people. We get so focused on our phones now and on computers and with life and social media that we forget to talk to people. But your money is out there walking by you every day. Your next private money lender for your next Airbnb or single family property or multifamily property, it's all sitting there in someone else's bank account. You got to go find it. It's definitely out there. It's in your community near you. It's on calls like this, but you got to be out there telling people what you do. Small groups can build authority capital. That's really important too. That's just you telling a small group of people who you are, what you do, what you specialize in. Kind of goes back to branding. But organize smaller groups with friends. Play the cash flow board game with neighbors. Anybody do that? But you can organize things like that allow people in to your inner circle, and you will extend your sphere of influence and really build that authority capital. That's important. Okay. Then people will go, even if you have only 3 people in a group or 4 people in a small group or something, then they will go, oh, the person you talk to about real estate investing is Eric, even if they know nothing about it. So don't worry if your meetup one day is 3 people, those 3 people know 100 others. So it's really important that you start to build that authority capital in small groups. My favorite is conferences. I love speaking at large conferences. I don't know how that happened. I actually prefer large conferences from one-on-one situations. I like to tell as many people as possible, as candidly as I can, what are the pros and cons and good and bad with real estate investing. But what I love about it is the immediate influence. If you can go there with an intention, you can really rip through a lot of conversations. And I don't mean to like skip over somebody. I just mean like there are so many opportunities to have conversation in 1 3-day weekend that you can get a lot of traction, a lot of bang for your buck, especially for you guys if you're making a trip to the mainland or wherever you are, or if you're planning to go to any conferences this year. That is a great way to go be known and help people solve problems. And that's ultimately what you're trying to do with networking. I will say, go with intention. You must have a plan. If you need an underwriter, that's what you're going for. If you need a guarantor, a loan guarantor, somebody signing on the debt for your deals, if you need deal sourcing, if you need money, capital raising, go telling people that those are the things that you need. And then say, or maybe beforehand, you say, what do you need? How can I help you? If you lead with that, they're usually going to reciprocate, as I said earlier. Okay. Never eat alone. The reason Adam Labar is a teammate on ADPI is because I saw him at a Rodcliffe multifamily conference back in 2018. And I said, hey, you're an Air Force guy. Let's go have lunch. And now we're partners. So never eat alone. Make sure, which would be hard to do at a conference like this because there's so many people, but make sure your time is valuable and you're using it wisely. After conferences like this, I will say, the people who follow up are the ones who have success. Most of the time you get a stack of business cards. I mean, geez, I've posted before, but I've got like 400 of these stacks like this of just business card after. You've got to follow up. And then guess what? Follow up again. You follow up immediately after a conference, just with a, hey, good to talk to you or whatever. Here's my contact info. 1 week, 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. Whatever timeline you want, not to be annoying. That's why you put a kind of cadence to it. But you want to see if there's going to be a relationship that forms out of that. The people who follow up are also with people at conferences and networking tend to be the ones who are also going to be following up with brokers and realtors and people who have the deals and owners. And that is a way that people know that you're serious, that you're going to follow up on what you say, and that you're going to be closing deals. Okay, how to build a team. Do you need competence or confidence first? Well, kind of a rhetorical question maybe, but I think first you need confidence because maybe you don't have any confidence yet. You haven't learned anything. Okay. If you're starting there, I mean, that's why ADPI exists. So you can have some competence. You can learn something. You don't have to learn everything. I don't know everything. And I own whatever, 5,000 units as a GP and about 5,000 units as an LP. And I am not the smartest guy. Like, this is what drives me absolutely nuts about this industry is like people think you have to be rich or smart or something to do this. I'm walking proof that you don't. So you just have to have some level. Like if I'm going to go talk to a broker or a realtor, depending on what asset class you're looking at, you want to know the language at least, right? So you can, do Military Real Estate Investing Academy or Military Multifamily Academy or Short-Term Rental Academy, whatever. We got it. Just get educated first. Get into ADPI campus and make sure that you're talking to people and networking there too. Here's a big one. Everybody that I know that is at a higher level than me and where I want to be tells me that they have imposter syndrome. Do you know what that is? It's when you're like, well, how am I? I mean, I kind of just went through it. Like, how would I have any level of success? Why me? How did I deserve that? Look, that is like some biological trait in all of us that we haven't evolved out of yet. Okay. And we're not going to in our lifetimes. Recognize it and move on. That's all I can say. You will have imposter syndrome. You have to recognize that, hey, this is imposter syndrome. I'm freaking out right now. Forget about it and move on. You're going to have it tomorrow too, by the way. So it's okay. Know who you are and what you provide. When you're trying to build a team, know what your superpower. Some people call it a superpower. I don't really like that. I put it in quotes because I don't really like superpower, but know what it is you provide. I provide connections. People know me for coming to me and going like, hey, Eric, I've got a deal. I need some money. And I'm like, I know where the money is. It's over here. And then I just became valuable. So know what you provide to other people. I also like educating and all that stuff too. So every time you're talking to somebody to build a team, you got to tell them what you provide. What part of the team are you on? What gap do you fill? Just like in the military, what gap do you fill? What's your job? And guys, don't force a job. That's not your superpower. If you ask me to underwrite, I might throw up in my mouth. I'm just saying. I don't want to analyze deals. I wasn't built for that. My brain doesn't work that way. I mean, yeah, I've analyzed hundreds of deals. I hate it. I hated every minute of it. So now I don't do it. There are people who bring me deals that I've networked with that hate doing what I do, which is helping close the deal and sign on the debt and get the lawyers wrapped up and all this other stuff. So find what your superpower is and go help somebody else who doesn't have that strength. You don't have to focus. I tell my kids this. You don't have to focus on your weaknesses. Go find somebody else to supplement that. Go work on your superpower. Go make that amazing, because somebody else needs it. So that's a big part of networking and building your team. Truly listen. That goes back to genuine interest. Take notes. Solve problems in peer groups. Show up consistently with the same message. That's a big one. If you're all over the place, people are gonna be like, yeah, but no focus. Yeah, Eric, but no focus. He can't do anything because he's never talking about the same thing. I've been on enough podcasts now that I am irritated when I hear myself talk, because I say the same things over and over and over again. But I say it because I'm consistent. I want to put out a consistent message to the people who hear me. If it's the same thing in all of these scenarios, then people are gonna be like, okay, well, he believes it. If he said it 110 times, he believes it. So be generous. It can't be about you. It ultimately will eventually be about you, because networking benefits you. But think about someone else first. You want to be a problem solver. You want to listen with intention. How many times am I say that? And be generous with what you can offer. Really try to help somebody out. They will benefit from it. And then guess what they're going to do? They're going to help you out too. Whether it's now or later, at least helping you out. If they can't on a deal, they're going to be like, Eric really helped me out. You should go ask him, because he'll probably help you out too. And then a deal will come your way. Okay. Know your limitations. That kind of goes along with your strengths and weaknesses as well. It does definitely get easier. Your first deal, everybody always says first deal is the hardest one. It is. And after you do one or two, you'll know what your strengths and weaknesses are. You'll know your limitations. I'm still learning limitations too. Communicate and have that one-time courage. That's a really big thing. One-time courage for you introverts, especially, and for me. Like I had to go. When he wrote the military house hacking book, Mark-Jan and I had just started writing it, and I was at that boot camp in 2018, and I was like, went up to Rod, who was this, to me, he was like running this big old conference, and he had this podcast and stuff. I'm like, but I was like, okay, he's just a guy. Let me just muster up some courage and go ask him to write the foreword to our book. And I did, and he did. So one-time courage for you introverts. For you extroverts, it's not so hard, but you've got to muster it up and go, I'm going to interject myself into that crowd of 4 people that's standing over there in the corner talking, because I need to have a conversation too. So go do that one time and see what happens, okay? All right, success tips. Laid it all out here, but I'm going to go over these individually here. Courage, we talked about. Next one is say their name. We've got this incredible cocktail of chemicals running through our veins at all times. We've got dopamine, we've got serotonin, we've got oxytocin, we've got adrenaline, we've got, all these different awesome things. When you say someone's name, whether you like it or they like it or not, they get a dopamine hit. Somebody says, Eric, I go, what? Oh, wait, I'm important. For 1 second, somebody said my name and I felt important. You don't actually think that part of it, but your body responds that way. Your body excretes, I don't know, however you say that, excretes a hit of dopamine. Okay. So say their name. You say in a conversation, yes, and I am interested in coming to Guam. Okay, like that is an important thing. And also it'll help you for people who are terrible with names. It'll help you remember their name. And if you say it enough times in conversation, you're benefiting both parties because you're going to remember the name, first of all. But second of all, you're going to make them feel good the whole dang time you're in that conversation. So say their name. Posture. Here I just did this. I sighed, I went like this. Dane, what did you just do? I just saw you cross your arms. Just watched you cross your arms. I crossed my arms and you crossed your arms. This is the coolest and weirdest thing when you're at a conference. If you stand there and talk to one person one-on-one or 4 people in a circle and you're the one who is influencing, you're talking at the moment, and you go like this, the people in that group are going to find a way to do something very similar to this. They're going to go like this. They're going to go like this. They're going to go like this. Something that is mimicking what you do. So if you're on the other end of it and someone's talking, mimic what they're doing. Why? Because now you're in their circle. You're part of their tribe. They feel comfortable because you're doing the same darn thing. There must be something about this relationship that really works well. Mimic posture. If someone crosses their legs while leaning on a wall, do a subtle little thing where you're just like, for just a minute. And if they change and relax a little bit, go back. You don't have to make it obvious. And by the way, this almost happens naturally anyway, but now you can recognize it and do it a little bit better, okay? That's a funny one. It's a cool one. But I love explaining that to people because you're going to laugh your butt off next time you're at a conference and you see that happen. It's so funny. And you can look around the crowd. You'll see it happening all over the place. Energy. This is what I'm talking about. Constructive interference, constructive resonance. If you have two frequencies, 2 wavelengths that are exactly the same, when they collide, they amplify, they double. If you have 2 frequencies that are variable, that are different, and they collide, they interfere and are destructive of one another. Okay, so think of static. Same thing when you're putting out energy, your tone, the cadence of your speech can be mirrored to somebody next to you. The level of energy that you're putting off, the vibe, whatever you want to call it, is going to matter in a conversation. If you go up to an introvert and I really need an underwriter right now, I came to this conference because I need an underwriter. I've got to find somebody who's analytical, and I go with this energy, they're going to freak out and duck. They're gone. So I might have to go like, hey, how you doing? Like, what's going on? What are you looking for here at the conference? And I'll just take it down a notch, knowing that that's what I'm looking for. Because typically somebody who's a little bit more introverted or analytical might be a little bit more soft-spoken. Of course, sometimes you have to generalize and just feel it out because it's obviously not all the time. But match people's energy. It's a really cool thing. That's also why somebody on this call right now can't stand the sound of my voice. It's nothing to do with me, and it has nothing to do with them. We're just not operating at the same frequency. That's totally okay. It happens every day to all of us. You know that one person in your life where you're like, everybody seems to like that person, but I cannot stand them. I don't know what it is. It's not your fault and it's not theirs. They're probably an awesome person. Everybody else seems to think so, but for some reason you can't get it out of your head that they're just not somebody you want to deal with. I don't know. It's fine. You just don't have the same energy. Genuine interest, talked about that at length. You really do need to be dialed in and pay attention to the conversation. Small details. When I'm cold calling, I'll talk about this now. I'm glad I remember this part. When I'm cold calling somebody, and somebody on the other, I'm talking to Fred. He's the gatekeeper to who I actually need to talk to in the acquisitions or disposition department of some, hedge fund or something. Fred answers the phone. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Hey, Fred," and I asked Fred about his life today. How's it going? Like, what's the weather like? You got anything going on? You sound like a little hoarse. You just joke around a little bit. You're trying to get influence Fred. Okay. If he tells you about his dog, you ask what the dog's name is and you write it in your CRM. You write it on a Post-it note. You write it in your Excel spreadsheet. Because next time you call that firm, you're going to say, "Hey, Fred, how's your dog?" And you're going to say the dog's name and you're going to say Fred. So small details matter when you're networking. Pay attention to the small details. And that actually kind of ties in perfectly with the next bullet point, associate familiarity. if you tell me, if Fred says, yeah, I've got this dog and I rescued it from the Houston animal shelter. You can say, oh my gosh, I actually went to the Houston animal shelter a couple years ago and I thought it was amazing. I'm just making up a scenario here, guys, but like, or you say, oh yeah, I'm originally from Alabama, but I live in California now, and you know, my wife's from Iowa, and so, oh cool, yeah, my dad's from Iowa. That's association. Now, guess what? You're part of their tribe. You're now in their network. You're being more familiar. And whenever you do all of these things to be like more in their inner circle, they're going to open up to you. They're going to be more vulnerable, and you're going to be able to influence them in a positive way more effectively. Focus on them. You guys know what you've heard Ford, which is how to hold a conversation, really. Ford is when you're talking to somebody, this is just how you can not lose track of what you're trying to do. Talk about their family, F, their occupation, O, recreation, R, and dreams, D. So keep track of Ford. Did I ask him about his family yet? Okay. And then when he says something about his family, by the way, dig in 7 layers. Ask 7 questions about the F, about his family, because he's excited as heck. Somebody's asking me about my mother-in-law. Holy cow, that's crazy. Ask him more, and then he says something until you can tell that it's time to transition into something else. Usually that occurs when they ask you a question in return, and then you can transition it on, and it's a back and forth. Occupation, same thing. How's your job? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. That's usually when you can go, oh, I'm a real estate investor. But again, when it reciprocates. So keep Ford in your head. If you really want to hold a well-rounded conversation, that's a great acronym to remember so that you can carry on a conversation and get the influence you need out of it. Look for problems. We are human beings who love to talk about things that are wrong. We're built that way. That's why we go to racetracks. We want to see a wreck. It's excitement. It's exhilarating. It's whatever it is. Same thing in conversation. We're looking for wrecks. If you ask me, like, if somebody says, oh, how's it going? I'm like, I'm trying to figure out, like, well, I don't know. It's a little cold today. Like, you hear it every day. You'll hear this. Oh, it's a little cold, or I don't know, I'm kind of tired. Usually people tell you their problems right off the bat. And if they don't, you can certainly get to it. And it doesn't have to be about the weather or ailments or something like that. It can be what their real estate problems are. That's what you really want to know. Figure out what their real estate problems are. Third-party connection, that just means leave them a someone that you can connect them to. If somebody says, I have a problem, it's I can't raise money or I need a hard money loan for this deal, in your head, because you just talked to 15 other people, you know a hard money loan guy now. And you're going to say, you know what, I just met somebody, let me go introduce you. Or I've got his phone number, I'm going to text it to you right now. And then you text it to him right now. Okay, so look for a way to provide a third-party connection to solve one of their problems. Resources. If you talk about a book, you talk about a podcast, you talk about a meetup, you talk about some resource, give it to them. Don't tell them to go research it. Give it to them right then. So have important resources that you think you can provide, whether they're education or entertainment or whatever it is that you usually talk about. Have that on your notes app or something, or just be quick to Google it and be like, you know what, don't leave anywhere. I'm going to give you this resource right now. That's super valuable because you're not asking somebody to go do research on their own. Contact info, take notes. You don't want to leave a conversation unless you get all of that stuff wrapped up. And follow up. I already mentioned following up. You got to follow up. That is the way you're going to network like a pro. Success formula. This is big, you guys. Learn all you can. Network your butt off. Add value to other people always and first. And take action. If you do those 4 things with the intention to be 1% better daily, success will hunt you down. Success literally will find you if you just keep repeating those things on a daily basis. Okay? 1%. That's all I'm asking. Just be 1% better every single day. Cool? That's me and Adam. That's it. Questions? We got time for a couple questions, and then you guys can cut me off whenever you want.
All right, so I think does anyone want to ask while Eric is here? Maybe we should reference Eric, is it possible for you to share your screen again and go back to the slide with the tips? And then that way it gives people a reference if anyone had any specific questions to that. Thank you. All right, so yeah, I think we'll go ahead and spend a couple minutes to open it up if anyone had any specific questions, because what's going to happen next is we're gonna, when we did the networking in the beginning, it wasn't, it was really just an icebreaker, right? It was just introductions. So we did that, right, intentionally, but then now we got the opportunity to hear what Eric had to say, get all these really great tips, everything that you can reference right here on this slide, and now let's take these tips and now let's put it into practice. So we're going to create that opportunity for you today. We're going to go into, just like we did in the beginning when we did introductions, we're going to go into a practice session where we get to apply any one of these tips. Just choose one. Just choose one. We'll put you to group. Ari, how many rooms do we have?
Yeah, right now we have 5 rooms.
Okay, 5 rooms with how many people?
Between 4 and 5.
Okay, awesome. So we will roll right into that after any Q&A. So again, I'll pause here. Any questions for Eric specifically, and then we'll close out and then roll us into the. So looks like we have a question from George. George, go ahead.
Yes, appreciate you coming out here, sir, to talk to us on all this. Question from me to you is on getting started, getting that first deal set up. I tend to be caught up in between the idea of maybe not analysis paralysis, but is it better to wait to go through the learning process to have all the bits and bobs in place as far as a team, or is it somewhat good and or better to allow yourself to stumble in the starting block and kind of learn by trial by error, more or less, with appropriate caution in place?
George, that is a fantastic question. Thank you for asking it. I'm going to tell you, learn, go through one of the courses, learn and do. Get through one module and execute. Do whatever it said to do. And I don't care if you fail, it doesn't matter. There are very small consequences as you're stumbling through, especially at the beginning. You're kind of just like, research this market, find a broker, find an agent, do the deal. Like there's no, if there's money not involved in those steps, you got to do them and fail 100 times. Go screw up phone calls. I would screw up so many phone calls. I would call a broker and I would be so bad. Sometimes I would hang up. I was just embarrassed. Like I just totally embarrassed myself. Or sometimes I'd be like, you know what? You're human. Literally, I would say this, like, you're human, I'm human. I just totally screwed up that. Can I start over? Like that's super rookie. But I was like, whatever. I'm never going to talk to this person again. Who cares? Guys, no one's getting hurt here. No bullets flying. We're just buying stuff. You're not going to break a sweat. You're sending emails and making phone calls and making money. That's what this is. So be willing to get out there, put yourself out there. And George, I'm going to say this team is your team. The people on this call are your team. The people in the ADPI campus are your team. That is your support system. You're not going to fail if you got everybody working together like that. Okay. So use those resources, but 100% to answer your question, 100% most important thing is that you go out there and put the effort in. Forget about the education if you have to, and go find one thing you learned and go put it to use, because then it's no longer a mystery. You only have to learn it one time, and once you execute on it, it's permanently ingrained in your head. Awesome question.
Awesome. We got a few more
Thank
questions.
you, sir.
We got a few more questions. Like Alex, you were first. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Eric. So my name's Alex. I'm a communication officer in the Navy in Guam, and I'm one of the local hosts here as well. I was going to say because I'm coming up on that time where I'm almost near my end date of obligated service. So if you were to do it again and you're transitioning out of the Navy, what would you really focus on real estate investing wise to make that transition out of the Navy easier if you were to go back in time?
I would definitely have gone bigger, faster. it's really hard to like hear because you don't know what you don't know. If you're not in multifamily, it's hard to hear somebody be like, oh yeah, just buy a 200 unit apartment complex. Like that seems like an impossible task if you're buying duplexes. But the multifamily cohorts, the military multifamily cohorts, killing it. I mean, just killing it. They're doing better than I am. And so that's the team element. So my advice to you is think bigger than what you think you can do right now. The first year I was in multifamily, and I was on this kind of bigger pockets track of like, I'm going to buy 1 deal this year and 2 deals the next year and 4 the next year and then 8 and then 16 and 32 and then I'm set for life. But I was like, you know what? I think I read 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And I was like, screw it. I'm gonna 100X my goal. I was like, I had to buy 8 that year, I think. I was like, I'm gonna make it 800. And guess what? We closed 600 units that year because I set my goal at 800. So I'll also say, don't have any expectations on replacing your salary or anything like that. In my head, it was a 5-year plan. I just want to be a realist. You make a ton of, I mean, don't get me wrong, you make a ton of, you do 2 deals in at least in the multifamily space and your military salary is like, you're not going to remember that you had it at one point. So don't worry about that part, but yeah, so just think bigger because you can all achieve this same stuff. This is not rocket science. I mean, you just have to have the team and kind of some guidance and then follow the rules. I mean, this is like printed, it's like a printed out SOP for people to follow. It's crazy. So you can do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric.
You
All
bet.
right, thanks, Eric. We got 2 more questions and about 2.5 minutes left to answer them.
Cool. I'll be quicker.
Whitney, you're up next.
Hi, Eric. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate having speakers
Whitney.
come over to this
Yeah, thanks for having me.
area of the world. We don't get as many folks over here, so it's great.
Yeah.
I have a question kind of straying from the topic of networking, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on what's the biggest challenge for real estate investors in today's market. Like right now, as we talk, like what are you seeing, and what are your recommendations for like the biggest challenges right now, or the one biggest challenge that you see?
Number one biggest challenge for real estate investors right now is patience. I haven't bought anything in a year. You got to be patient right now. And I say that because, I mean, I could have said finding deals is challenging, but I don't really, that's kind of too bland. You can find deals. We're submitting an offer on 147 units this week and 66 units earlier last week. And so like deals are out there, but you got to be patient. And if they don't like your offer, whether it's single family, multifamily, or whatever, if they don't like your offer, you underwrote the deal so that it makes sense to cash flow. Don't strain that. Stick to your guns. Rates will come down, guys. You'll be okay. But also keep looking because you'll find a diamond in the rough. And when you can buy right now, prices might be a little bit lower than they will when rates come down. Rates come down, you can refi and you can make some really good money when you refi to a lower rate. But big but there. Don't stress your underwriting, okay? It needs to cash flow. So be patient, keep looking for deals. Things are going to be great in a couple of years.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Eric. I appreciate it.
All right, awesome. We've got John with a question and also Roger. Roger, we don't have time, but if you want to put your question in the chat, and then John, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, mine's actually just 2 statements. One's to George Howell, about taking a chance and you know before you know anything. The deal my team and I are currently working on was me learning to cold call. I was just practicing, stumbled across something, and it looked like it might turn into something. So take a chance. The other thing, Eric, I really appreciate what you're doing here. Something that you had said that someone's not going to like the sound of your voice. I made a T-shirt that said "I'm your cilantro," because people love cilantro or they don't love cilantro.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
That's
So yeah,
fantastic.
just remember that you're not gonna be everyone's cup of tea. Or
Well, I
you-
like
you
your I like
use
your
Cilantro.
voice, John.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, are we gonna go for one last question there, or are we gonna go ahead and roll into the breakout room?
Yeah, I was trying to read what Roger wrote there. Actually, Roger, go ahead real quick. Sounds like you just got some input as well.
Yeah, but I can't remember the word they used. Like the guy with the money that is looking to invest in somebody else's deal. I don't know what that word was called. Whenever you were talking about it, I already said mine. But if I have money to throw at a deal that's a multifamily, how do I know I won't be screwed over on that deal?
You gotta know the operators. Yeah, if you want to be a limited partner, passive investor on a deal,
Yeah.
you gotta know the operators. You gotta know the general partners. And you don't have to like know them personally ahead of time, but you need to get to know them. You need to look at their track record. You need to look at their website, look at their, like, if you go to my personal website, ericupchurch.com, you'll see my portfolio. You'll see the returns that I provided to my investors. You need to do the same thing with those people. So heavily vet them before you get into a deal with them. Okay. Ask them who their SEC attorney is, like very specific questions. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that kind of information I'm looking forward to hear.
Yep.
The SEC attorney, stuff like that. Any other knowledge would very much be appreciated. Thanks, sir.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Eric. A lot of great information. We're gonna put some of that information that you put out there. We're gonna put that into practice real quick. So we're gonna go into the breakouts. And Ari, are we good to break out?
Yes, sir. We're ready.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Enjoy it. I will broadcast some information that
great.
we have learned so it can help you get started the conversation. So off we go. Do you want me to pull Eric?
Yeah, you can pull him into the main room, I think.
No, I'm wondering which one he is under. Which way? The big
I
one?
forget that his name. Should say Eric.
I have Camille here. Why is she not assigned?
There's 2 accounts. She said that one of them she couldn't see the video. I'm not sure which one she's using.
Camille, would you unmute yourself for a second?
Her other account might be in another room.
And then I have 2 people only in room 3. That didn't work out well. And Eric, are you here still? Which way I have here?
All right. Cool. All right. Thanks. All right. Yep. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully, you got to put that practice, the info that you learned to practice, and then continue doing this after this event, because this is what's going to get you to your goals. On the screen here, we've got a QR code if you have the ability to scan it. If not, I think Alex might have already dropped the link in the chat.
Link is in the chat currently.
Okay, cool, perfect. Yep, links in the chat or scan this QR code to join our Facebook group. I'll leave it there for another couple seconds. We're almost out of time, so.
Lawrence, I sent you a message.
All right. So we've got some feature events for you guys. So if you like today's, then definitely enjoy the program that we have for you. We have in May coming up, is how to be your own banker. We'll talk about using life insurance policies. We'll have a guest speaker for that one as well. So May 18th, Japan, 0830. So the same time, whatever time zone you're in, as we did today, that'll be the same as that. So put that on your calendar and be ready for that. It's every other month. So next will be July and then October after that.
All right, I get the privilege of sharing with you guys a conference opportunity. So I think you heard from Eric that his absolute personal favorite is conferences. I have to say it's mine as well. I'll share with you the group itself. So Team Asia Pacific, we've started this virtual series platform over 2 years ago. So think about, I mean, this event is our 10th event, and so basically in the course of 2 years doing 10 events, we've attracted hundreds of people. I think we're probably more like at 700-800 now of an online community. And one of the things that what you see in front of you right now is how do we take that online community that we've cultivated in the course of 2 years and bring us together in a space and place where we can gather in person. And so I'm proud to share that we are making this a reality. It is happening next month, April 26th to 27th on Guam over at the Dusit Beach Resort. And we're calling it the Asia Pacific Real Estate Investing Summit. I will share with you some of the topics are going to be the BRRRR method. So we have Erica coming out from Hawaii to talk about the BRRRR method. We have Cindy coming out from Hawaii to talk about how to find off-market deals. We're going to be talking about technology, 3D concrete printing, what is happening in that space and how it's being applied to disrupt both the construction and the real estate industries. And so lots of really cool stuff going on. I don't have a link for you today, but I at least wanted to share with you that we have this going on. And so as Dane shared earlier, the slide and the link of where you can connect with us on our Facebook group for Team Asia Pacific, that will allow you to get the updates for what we have going on. If you or someone you know, again, is in this part of the world, if you're in Japan, Korea, or you're on Guam, and you want to find a place where you can gather in person to engage and apply the skills that you just learned from Eric, to be able to take, whole like 2 days to be able to focus on being intentional on building your network. So if you have any other questions on that, feel free to message me directly. All right. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Dane, could you go back one more slide? The one thing I wanted to say too is the program, it is 2 days. Day one is general real estate investing. So you heard some of the topics. So basically, if you want to do real estate investing, but you don't necessarily want to do it in this part of the world, you want to focus on stateside because you know you're going to PCS either this summer or next year, and you just kind of want to skill up and build that network. That's the program for you. Day two is actually the Guam market. So what that means is if you're here in this part of the world and you want to invest, but you don't necessarily have a market stateside and you want to consider the Guam market, that program is for you. We're going to talk about the Guam market, and we're not just going to talk about it in a conference room. We're actually going to go look at property. So if you're someone who needs to see it, feel it, touch it, that's part of the program. And all of this is an entire program, meaning it's networking, it's education, it's food, transportation, and cultural experience and beach activity. So all of that's going to be included in the entire program. Again, lots more details to share. I'll continue those conversations though on our Facebook group. So, all right, thank you. All right. If you liked what you had today, it takes an incredible amount of effort as a team to pull this together. And so as you can tell, it is truly a team sport. And the people that you see here on this slide is what makes it possible. It truly is a collaboration. I do want to bring your attention to the areas that have a circle, because that means the red circle, because that means those are areas of opportunity. If you or someone you know are stationed in those areas and would like to learn about what it would mean to be a part of Team Asia Pacific and be a part of this virtual series. So if you have questions, everyone you see with a virtual background, please reach out to them if you have an interest or you want to just learn more.
Oh, there we go. Mute button.
Dane,
All right, thanks, man. Again, please take a chance. There's going to be a pop-up whenever you log out for a survey. Please give us your feedback. That's going to help us make this better and provide any content that you're looking for. Thanks again for coming. Appreciate it. So we're going to stick around for a while too. If anybody has any other questions or just want to keep chatting, we can do that. I got time, so I don't have any appointments today, so I can hang out.
Yeah, the
All right,
start
so it
of
looks
the. Oh, okay, yeah.
God, it's Saturday
Go for
morning
it.
there, man.
all right, go ahead, Ari.
I was about to stop the recording, but I will wait until the closing remarks then if we have any.
All right, I'm just gonna say this. Thank you all for being here. Again, a lot of what we do, it's great effort to put it together, but ultimately we don't do it for ourselves. We do it for the community, right? So all of you here are part of that community. We know there are a lot of things that you could be doing with your Saturday morning, but yet you choose to be here. So thank you. I hope you took away some key takeaways that you're able to take action on to accelerate your journey in real estate investing. So at that point, we're gonna go ahead and close out the formal portion of this event. So Ari, go ahead and stop recording. And for those of us on Team Asia Pacific, we tend to stay back because if you have a